Signed too, Grimy. Look at these two dudes, Huey and Nipsey Hussle. On the block.
Big U's son has been taken out.
Chaos has gripped the streets ever since the heartbreaking murder of Big U's son, Jabari Henley, on Halloween night. Things have now taken an even more shocking turn. In retaliation, Nips affiliates, convinced Big U was behind their homous death, just released explosive footage showing Big U's final moments with his son. And believe me, what's in it is jaw-dropping. Let's break it down. The resurfaced footage reopens painful wounds. In the treacherous realm of LA street politics where reputation rules and betrayals are punished harshly, a single old clip can reignite every spark of tension, as if old beefs never died. In late October 2025, an Instagram live video began circulating in the neighborhood. Grainy throwback footage showed 3 real ones posted on a Crenshaw corner, chilling like bloods when things were solid. The clip featured Eugene, Big U, Henley alongside the late Nipsey Hussle and Big U's youngest, Jabari, aka Baby, were captured back when the trio symbolized hope for South LA, and no one could foresee the tragedy about to unfold. What should have been a beautiful tribute to better times instead became the spark that ignited a powder keg of rage, street politics, and unspeakable tragedy shaking the entire city. The footage is authentic, under a minute of raw hood conversation, the kind of moment that defined their world before fame, federal indictments, and funerals tore it all apart. Big U's voice narrates the scene, carrying the unmistakable pride of both an OG mentor and a father watching his seed navigate the streets.
Yeah. We still out here. Hey, well, you did. Hey, we on tape, man. Y'all don't want to sign too, Grimy. Y'all want to sign too, Grimy. Look at these two dudes, Huey and Nipsey Hussle. On the block.
To understand why this seemingly innocent footage would trigger such intense anger from Big U and set off a deadly chain reaction through the streets, we need to break down who these 3 soldiers were and the empire they were building together before everything went south. Nipsey Hussle, born Hermes Joseph Askedam on August 15, 1985, wasn't just a Grammy-nominated rapper. He was a true visionary who saw beyond the gang-heavy blocks of Crenshaw toward a future where black economic empowerment could break cycles of poverty and violence that had plagued generations. Growing up in the heart of rolling 60s Crips territory with an Eritrean immigrant father and African-American mother, Nipsey embodied contradictions that defined his short but impactful legacy. By 2018, his album Victory Lap debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200, earning a Grammy nomination and moving 53,000 units in its first week. But his real legacy went beyond record sales. It was about the Marathon clothing store he fully owned, the Vector 90 STEM hub he built for local youth, and the Crenshaw block he purchased for $4.5 million to keep wealth circulating within the black community rather than bleeding to corporate entities and gentrifiers. Eugene Big U Henley, born around 1967, followed a different but parallel path. A certified Rolling 60s affiliate who served time for attempted murder in 1996, Big U returned from prison in 2004 claiming transformation and redemption. He founded the Community Intervention Alliance in 2005, positioning himself as a peacemaker capable of brokering truces between rival gang sets that had clashed for decades. In 2009, when Nipsey was still grinding as an independent artist, he signed a 10-year management deal with Big U's unique music. Their partnership shaped West Coast hip-hop for the next decade, with Big U teaching Nipsey the all-money-in model, self-distribution, total ownership, and no major label chain stifling creativity or profits. This philosophy became the foundation of Nipsey's empire and inspired a generation. Then there was Jabari, Big U's son, caught between 2 worlds he never asked for. Born March 15, 1991, Jabari wasn't a street legend like his father or a star athlete like his brother Diane Henley of the LA Chargers. He worked as a warehouse supervisor in Compton, dropped music occasionally as Baby Wave, and aimed for a quieter life away from the spotlight that had consumed his father and claimed Nipsey's life. Friends described him as someone who avoided active gang life despite his bloodline. He had a 10-year-old daughter he was trying to raise right, working to break generational curses. The footage resurfaced during a volatile moment in LA street politics. By March 2025, Big U faced devastating federal RICO charges, 43 counts alleging a mafia-like enterprise through the Rolling 60s Crips, conspiracy to commit murder for hire in the 2021 killing of rapper Ryan Rocky Williams, extortion of over 50 dispensaries disguised as protection fees funneled through his non-profit, human trafficking at his label, and $1.2 million in COVID-19 relief fraud. Held without bail at the Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown LA, he faced a potential life sentence with a trial set for May 2026. His attorney withdrew in September 2025 due to conflicts, leaving him to represent himself. Yet the RICO charges weren't even his biggest problem in public perception. Since Nipsey's murder on March 31, 2019, theories about Big U's involvement circulated, despite Eric Holder Jr. being convicted in February 2022 for the killing. Facts didn't matter, narratives did. Loose Cannon, a Rolling 60s affiliate and music exec, claimed in 2024 that Big U had called him 30 minutes before Nipsey's murder with ominous warnings. Though unsubstantiated, these claims spread widely. Footage of Big U's response to someone saying justice for Nip during an Instagram live was similarly weaponized, cementing his image as a betrayer in the streets and online.
When he was live, and they said justice for Nip. Wait.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
And what did he do? He started laughing.
Justice for Nip.
That laugh, whether it was nervous, awkward, or completely taken out of context, became all the evidence Big U's ops and critics needed to claim he played a role in Nipsey's death. To them, it wasn't just a laugh, it was pure disrespect toward the memory of a man he once called his son. And the harder Big U tried to deny it, the guiltier he seemed in the eyes of the streets. Then came Wack 100, Nipsey's former manager turned outspoken rival who turned up the heat. In a February 2024 No Jumper interview, Wack accused Big U of cooperating with federal agents during a 2018 RICO investigation, claiming that info he gave up indirectly put Nipsey in the crosshairs as a supposed snitch. Heavy allegations, especially from someone who had once been deep in Nip's circle and claimed to know what really went down behind the scenes. Charleston White only poured gasoline on the fire, alleging that Big U and Nipsey's family had gotten into physical fights over money and control. According to him, Nipsey's murder wasn't just about street politics or snitching, it was about power, greed, and extortion. Together, these narratives turned tragedy into chaos, blurring the line between rumor and reality.
They killed Nip too. Let's not forget, homie. They killed Nipsey Hussle. Eric Holder was not a lone actor in that. If you go back and follow the details, Nip and Big U got into it. Big U hit Nip Daddy across the head with a bat. His brother had to come out and shoot the...
When old Instagram live footage of Big U, Nippy, and Jabari resurfaced in late October 2025, it struck a raw nerve across the hood. No one could have predicted that within 72 hours, one of the men in that video would end up in the morgue, sparking online celebrations disguised as street justice. Halloween night turned to horror. The hit occurred around 11:11 p.m. on October 31, 2025, at the corner of South Figueroa Street and West 69th Street, deep in South Las Vermont Slauson neighborhood, a place where the streets never sleep. Jabari Henley had pulled up to a small, independently owned smoke shop locals called Fig and 69 Smoke Spot. The shop was the kind you see in every hood, selling Swisher sweets, energy drinks, and lottery tickets to a community that's been grinding these corners for generations. The area sits in historic Roland 60s Crips territory. While the shop had no documented gang ties, lapped gang impact assessments described it as just a business trying to survive in a neighborhood where survival itself is a daily negotiation with death.
I want to talk about, Big U. His son was assassinated last night out there in LA. Absolutely nasty work, man. Again, Big U, his son, Baby Huey, or Big Huey, right? He was assassinated last night on Halloween out.
Eyewitnesses present that Halloween night, including two civilians who had just stepped out of a nearby shop and a late-night food truck vendor serving snacks, recounted the events with chilling consistency, painting a horrifyingly clear picture. A black or dark-colored sedan, possibly a late-model Toyota Camry or Honda Accord based on partial observations, rolled up to the curb with an unmistakable sense of purpose, like a mission was in motion. Jabari approached the vehicle from the sidewalk and, for roughly 10 to 15 seconds, appeared to be conversing casually with someone through the passenger side window, a mundane street interaction in Los Angeles that occurs countless times daily without incident. Then, in an instant, chaos erupted into lethal violence. At least 7 rounds rang out, their trajectory later suggesting they were fired from a 9mm or .40 caliber semi-automatic pistol. The gunshots reverberated off surrounding buildings, shattering the Halloween night air. Jabari was struck with devastating precision, twice in the torso, upper chest and abdomen, once in the left arm and once in the thigh. He crumpled near the shop entrance, clutching his side as blood pooled beneath him on the pavement, while the sedan disappeared northbound on Figueroa, taking a right onto 68th Street and vanishing into the labyrinth of South LA streets before anyone could get a license plate number or a clear identification of the shooters. First responders from LA Fire Department Station 46 arrived at 11:14 p.m., finding Jabari unresponsive, with only agonal breathing, the final, desperate gasps the body makes when facing catastrophic trauma beyond repair. Paramedics immediately initiated CPR on the blood-soaked pavement, delivering chest compressions with mechanical precision and administering 2 doses of epinephrine via 4 in a desperate bid to save him. But the injuries were too severe, the blood loss too rapid, the wounds too lethal. By 11:28 p.m., after detecting no pulse and witnessing no response to resuscitation, the paramedics had to make the call every first responder dreads. Jabari "Baby" Henley was pronounced dead at the scene. His body was turned over to lapped homicide detectives and the coroner, while his spirit joined the tragic ranks of young black men whose lives are cut short in these streets before reaching their full potential. The Los Angeles County Department of Medical Examiner coroner later conducted an autopsy under case number 2025-04512, confirming the obvious: death by multiple gunshot wounds, with hemorrhagic shock and laceration of the left pulmonary artery as contributing factors that caused rapid exsanguination. Preliminary toxicology revealed no alcohol or controlled substances in his system. This wasn't about poor decisions, being under the influence, or slipping up. This was about being born with a certain last name in a city where bloodlines can feel like death sentences. The manner of death was officially classified as homicide. Meanwhile, the perpetrators remained at large, miles away from the scene, while Big U, locked behind the walls of the Metropolitan Detention Center fighting federal RICO charges that could imprison him for life, slept oblivious to the devastation about to strike his family. The news reached him around 1:30 a.m. on November 1st, delivered via his cellmate and co-defendant, Loose Cannon, who had received a contraband call from a family contact. Big U's reaction, described exclusively to TMZ and Hot New Hip Hop by Cannon, was unforgettable. "He just froze," Cannon said. Tears streaming, fists clenched. Then he whispered, "Not my boy. Not like this. We're both shattered, man." The weight of heartbreak and helplessness was incomprehensible. Cannon recounted their resolve: "We'll work through this together, even from in here. God makes no mistakes. It's testing us, but we'll rise." Yet, those words felt hollow against the brutal reality. A father, confined behind bars, powerless to protect his child, forced to process the unimaginable grief of outliving his son. Picture that: a father locked down, fighting charges that could keep him imprisoned for life, learning in the dead of night that his 34-year-old son, trying to live right, raising a daughter, working a regular job, had been murdered on the very streets he once ruled. There was nothing he could do. No crime scene to storm, no family to hold, no pressure to put on the streets for justice or protection. He was trapped inside a cell, utterly powerless, while his child lay in the morgue with 4 bullet wounds, and the entire neighborhood buzzed with speculation. That was the hell Big U woke up to on November 1st, 2025. Big U has not issued a public statement, constrained by jail protocols and federal gag orders prohibiting media contact while his case is ongoing. Sources close to the family told Rolling Out that he spent the day in solitary reflection, requesting Bible passages from the chaplain and a family visit that had to be postponed until November 3rd due to detention center procedures that care little for grief. Meanwhile, the investigation into Jabari's murder continued with painstaking diligence but frustratingly few leads. A $50,000 reward was announced through the LAPD's citywide crime reward program to encourage witnesses to come forward. Investigators secured 12 surveillance videos from nearby businesses, including crucial footage from a Chevron across the street that may have captured the sedan and potentially even the shooter. Ballistics analysis was pending, with results expected by November 5th to see if the weapon was linked to other crimes. Detective Maria Gonzalez of the Lapt South Bureau Homicide Division leads the investigation, which, as of November 2, 2025, had no clear suspects or arrests, while the community teetered on the brink of speculation and outrage that threatened to complicate solving the case further. What investigators found most disturbing, however, wasn't just the crime itself, it was what was happening online in real time. Social media erupted, dissecting every detail of the tragedy at lightning speed, often with shocking callousness, leaving little room for empathy for the deceased or their family.
U's son has been taken out. If you don't know who Big U is, just a simple Google search would suffice. Big U allegedly had something to do with the killing of Nipsey Hussle, though that's never been proven.
Speculation was already running rampant, connecting dots that may not have even existed and weaving narratives out of half-truths and long-circulating rumors. Within hours, the tragedy was being reframed not as a homicide to be solved, but as fodder for public judgment, digital spectacle, and unfiltered cruelty. By 11:45 p.m. on October 31st, barely 90 minutes after the first lap scanner alerts hit social media, Jabari Henley's murder had already mutated into something far darker than a crime scene. It had become a digital theater of death. It wasn't just news, it was entertainment, a referendum on Big U's alleged sins, and, to thousands online, proof that so-called cosmic justice had finally been served through street violence. On X, the initial surge of posts referencing Big U Henley had already reached 2,500 by midnight. By 6 a.m. on November 1st, as the story rippled across time zones and continents, that number exploded to over 15,000, spreading like wildfire across the global internet. Hashtags such as #Jaw, #BigUHenley, and #BabyY were trending locally in Los Angeles, dominating the top 5 in hip-hop categories. Meanwhile, the particularly cruel hashtag #Nippicama, which insinuated that Jabari's death was some sort of cosmic payback, had already accumulated over 4,000 uses within the first 48 hours, cementing the perverse narrative. TikTok quickly became ground zero for the most disturbing and graphic content. Raw bystander footage, shot from nearby buildings and sidewalks, showed LAFD paramedics performing chest compressions on Jabari's lifeless body, circulating through anonymous accounts with zero respect for human decency. These videos were shared not out of empathy, but for clicks, virality, and social media clout, amassing 3.2 million views by noon on November 1st. On Instagram, fan pages dedicated to Nipsey Hussle, the marathon clothing founder and hip-hop icon, cross-posted clips and commentary that mixed mourning for Nippy with barely concealed celebration of Jabari's murder. The implicit message was terrifying. A 34-year-old warehouse worker, simply living his life and raising a child, could be reduced to a statistic to balance the scales for something that had happened 6 years prior in the same city. The virality didn't stop at videos. Memes, reaction clips, heated debates, and insensitive posts flooded every corner of social media. Comment threads became echo chambers of blame, hatred, and twisted humor, while the platforms themselves seemed powerless to halt the tide. What should have been a somber reflection on a young man's life lost turned into a grotesque performance, where human grief, street politics, and online spectacle collided into one nightmarish